What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I have another Lego custom minifigure, I guess. And of course, if I sound different at all, that is because I am using a microphone. So I can get really close up to the microphone if I want to. Or I can do this. So yeah, of course I'm probably going to be doing this from now on. Which I think will probably limit the background noises and stuff like that and actually make my voice more clear. So if you like it, then of course comment down below if you like it. If you dislike it, then that's fine. But yeah, without further ado, let's get on with today's video. So of course, I do have another video coming out soon. I think tomorrow, I don't really know. But of course, last video I did was of course Howard the Duck, and Howard the Duck was a really cool custom. As you guys can see, you guys can go check out that video. It was actually pretty cool. Of course, the sculpted head was the difference, because of course, if you guys remember my original Howard the Duck head, it really wasn't that good. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't perfect. There were some problems with it, which I cannot find for some reason. But of course, if you guys actually want to go see the whole video, go check that out. But of course, yeah, this was just a really cool head that I decided to sculpt. It's based on the Guardians, and it looks way more like the Guardians than the original. So I'm really happy on how that looks. So yeah, that was the last video. But of course, there was another figure that was pointing out to me. And ever since I made him, and he was in Lego Marvel Collections, and he was always one of those figures that I stared at, and I was just like, I really made that guy. And yes, it was. I made that figure, and that figure was honestly garbage. It wasn't even that good. Of course, if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, I am talking about Beta Ray Bill. Yes, Beta Ray Bill, one of the most complex Lego Marvel figures of all time. Literally the one custom where you can literally say this, that any custom that you make a Beta Ray Bill is going to be trash. Even if you try something unexpected, like a orange minifigure head or something, it's still going to look weird. Like, here's some photos right here of some decently good versions of Beta Ray Bill, but of course it just literally looks like Thor with an orange head. Or one of them is a T-Rex helmet, which is honestly really cool and probably the best that you can do. The Beta Ray Bill, as you guys can see the comic book photo right here, he is a very complicated figure to make, and it would make a lot of sense why a lot of people would have difficulty, because he has such a unique shaped head. Lego's probably never going to make him until the MCU appearance, so for now we're going to be kind of stuck with no Beta Ray Bill. However, I decided to resculpt and redo, literally redo. So this isn't some instance where I basically just take the figure and give it a new head and you call it a day. No, this figure was honestly just bad, and I wanted to go with a different costume. So here is what remains of the original Beta Ray Bill. And of course I can't really talk about the whole thing because the arms are off, but they were basically just arms with white hands. I already showed you guys an image earlier. But the things to complain about, this is when I can actually basically talk crap on my old customs, because this was honestly really bad. The only thing good is Stormbreaker, which we'll talk about in a minute. But of course, looking at the head, oh my god, what was I thinking? This was just look at this. I mean, the shape is good. I love the method, and I won't show you guys until a little bit, but even on the new one, I went for this method, where of course, when you're sculpting him, you basically just take a toothpick and you shove it through his face, and it honestly goes through. Of course, this one doesn't go through all the way, but of course, you just stick the toothpick in there, and there you go, and it creates the little hole right there. And then another thing that I did was take a toothpick again, and then just make indents right here, and then just do that, and then that was it. The helmet was very interesting. It was the top of the Thor Ragnarok helmet, not the silver one. This was the Thor Ragnarok, I remember that. And it was basically just the top, so I put it on a cylinder and then sculpted on the front of the little thing right here, and then I just painted on the back, which It's still okay, but the helmet, and then for laziness, I just decided to paint the side of the helmet white, which, yeah, the head isn't that good. Another thing, torso, very difficult because, of course, one of the things that I didn't have access to, I have access now, so that's how I'm able to make really cool customs. But of course, this torso is when I didn't have access to silver and gold paint. They were really special paints that were really poisonous and they weren't good. And I used them on all my old customs from all the way from SPDR all the way down. If you find a figure that has gold on it, it was probably that paint or Sharpie, whichever one. Because of course, as you guys can see, the design is very simple because I can't really paint with a paintbrush. I can literally just paint like this, and this was a different outfit. I went for his dark blue outfit later. Then I just went with some black pants. But yeah, the torso, I definitely have added silver and gold regular paint, just acrylic paint to my collection. So now I have that. So that's how I was able to make the helmet for SPDR a bit shinier. And it's basically, I add that to a color to make it a bit more shinier. But yeah, this was a okay torso, but yeah, the head was mostly the reason why I didn't like it. And another reason too is if we go in on the face, as you guys can see right here, that is a big noticeable thing. You can clearly see that there was an eye that was supposed to be on the side of the face. Both sides, I think, but this eye turned out better. So what happened is that one of the things when you're sculpting a minifigure and you need definition of eyes or eyebrows, you need to picture in your head what the eyes and eyebrows are going to look like. Because if you just do this and just put a freaking dot of Sculpey on the side, it's going to look like this. And then you're like, crap, this is already dried. And either you sand it or you leave it like that and you have a weird, like, acne under his eye. Like, he just looked like he just came out and he got punched in the eye. And now it's all swollen and stuff. But it doesn't look that good. Of course, this was when I was first starting out with Sculpey, testing new things. Of course, now I made Beavis and Butthead, Popeye, Woody Woodpecker, and a bunch of other things that are really cool. But the best part about this dude was Stormbreaker, once again using the gold paints, so it's very interesting. But this honestly still holds up today. I don't know which Stormbreaker is better, but this is probably the best part on the newer version. So that was Beta Ray Bill, what's left of him anyway. But of course, you guys are probably here to see my newer version. So my newer version of Beta Ray Bill, I'm going to say there are maybe some problems with him that I first started out with, but I don't think I have anymore. But without further ado, 3, 2, 1, here is my 2023 remodeled version of, you guessed it, Beta Ray Bill. And as you guys can see, it's completely different from the original, and a completely different sculpt, and a completely different, just entirely, everything is different. This whole figure just was horrible. This is honestly cool. And when you have, if I can find him, that would be amazing, but when you actually have, I'm not going to find him, am I? When you actually have a Thor right next to him, he honestly looks really cool. This is my custom this is like my, just a custom ultimate version of Thor. It looks okay, but anyway, really cool next to him. Of course, there's one problem, which it's kind of a nitpick, but yeah, this is a really cool figure. So, starting off out of the way with his Stormbreaker, because that's probably the most controversial thing about this dude, is that I did, okay, so this uses a new gold paint, not this paint, so this is completely different paints. Also, this is worn down over time, but of course, as you guys can see, the one thing that I kind of think is okay is the sculpted axe on the front. It's kind of just a piece of skinny Sculpey, however, this one literally looks like an axe. That's why this is kind of better. But I don't know, I still like the dot on the top. I think that worked out really cool. Of course, also, if you look at it too long, you're going to see that it's a bit crooked. But I don't really care. It's honestly really cool. Once again, I used the gold stud right here. I don't have it on me right now, but it's a gold stud. You guys have probably used it. It's used to hold the Infinity Stones. It's the same thing I used on this thing, which I think, going back on it, I think I should have went with something different. I think when I found the piece, I think I was going to go for this version and just add this on the back, but I don't know, maybe it seems a bit too long now, but yeah, just, yeah, weird Stormbreaker. Also, it's kind of lopsided. This one is fully round, and yeah, this was pretty fun to make. Getting that out of the way, though, and of course, also I made it a bit smaller than this one. That's a big difference, but looking at Beta Ray Bill, his head is honestly really cool. So of course, once again, photos of the original design. I actually do have sculpted photos because I wanted to actually use like I do this sometimes with figures. I actually wanted to use color on my phone and see if I can actually make a Beta Ray Bill head and see if it would turn out good, which of course, as you guys can see here, this is the photo. I guess it's a render, I guess you could call it, but it turned out good, so I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it in real life. And I did, because I was planning on doing it, but I wanted to take a break for a while. Anyway, here are the arms. I know they might not match perfectly, but I don't care. It still works, and it still looks good. Now his head is probably the best part, but saving that for a bit later, just removing it for now. He has the shoulder piece that I don't think that this is the most accurate piece that you could use, but it's what I'm going to use. Another piece that I was going to use, since this guy is dark blue, but I have it on my Kang. I was going to use this piece, but I only got one of these things, so I just decided to keep it on Kang and use it for this, because of course people have used it before on him. Anyway, he has the blue on the body, much different than the black that I used on this one. This one was kind of based on a classic version. I think Beta Ray Bill does wear this outfit, but I wanted to go for the blue, and I think the blue was a much better touch. Of course, the belt is a different color. That's because this uses bronze, and then this uses just regular gold. So that's why that is that, but of course it looks cool, but you guys could probably make this with purest parts in your collection. You're probably wondering on the amazing sculpt that I decided to use. Now, funny enough, very funny enough, this is actually the same design that I used for the old Beta Ray Bill head. So here they are together. This one looks honestly more appealing. This one used vermilion, I think. Vermilion? I don't know what it's called, but it's an orangish reddish. It was the only orange I had in my collection. And yeah, this one uses, this is definitely orange. And of course, yeah, this was not a really good color. Of course, I added more detail on the side of the face, decided to add, once again, as I took a toothpick, shoved it all the way through, which of course, I think you can actually shove the toothpick all the way through, which you can! You can, so that's how I made that. And then next, what I did is I basically just took this and then just went on the side and just kind of just carved at it for a little bit, just to make his little side things, because once again, that's what he looks like. The eyebrows were really difficult because, of course, the front was too forward, like the front of the helmet. Of course, I did sculpt on more on the top of the helmet than the actual thing, because that's what it is like in comic books. But it's very sleek and thin, which I really like about it. But anyway, once again, I had to cut a little bit off because it was all the way up here, so the eyebrows would have been much more different. And then as soon as I did that, and then I put the eyebrows on, I know exactly what the eyes are going to look like. So the eyes are just plain white. That's what they're like in the comic books. I don't know why I decided to go for black and white. This just doesn't look cool. I think I was basing it off of Lego Marvel Superheroes. I don't know, but anyway, this is super cool. Once again, I literally just put a fully version of, because this one had like a partially version of Thor's helmet. This was a full version. Yeah, I put it on a cylinder once again, and then after that, I was like, you know what? How about I just take a bunch of little strands of Sculpey and make his wings? And I was going to put another layer on top right here, but I think that would have been too big. And yeah, then I had access to silver, so yeah, I made the whole thing silver. So that's kind of how I made Beta Ray Bill's head. Of course, once again, this took me, I think, about an hour to do. But mostly the thing that I finished first was actually Stormbreaker, obviously because it was smaller. But this honestly looks really cool with the shoulder pads. But the one problem that I have with it, and you guys are probably not, I really don't have with it anymore, but it was a problem, is this head might be too big. I don't know. It might be a bit too big. It might be much more bigger than the original one. The original one was much more skinnier. But hey, if you want to add all these details, make these huge wings, I bet you if I maybe made them a bit tinier, I don't know. But this looks much more cooler, and everybody knows when they look at this, the one thing that I wanted from this guy is that if you look at him, you know who it is if you read comic books. If you don't know who it is, then that's you. But if you know who this guy is from just looking at him like that, just like looking at him, oh, hey, that's Beta Ray Bill. This dude was like, I don't know who this is. I think it's Beta Ray Bill, but I don't know if it's like a cheap Walmart version of him. But yeah, amazing figure. I'm honestly, these were very fun to do. Howard and, I cannot find Howard. Here he is. But Howard and Beta Ray Bill were honestly really fun to make. Because, of course, I've been sculpting for a while. When I first got it, Sculpey was honestly, if I could say the story, Sculpey was honestly very cool because I never had it before, and it was when I took my first step in customizing. Because, of course, before, what I used to do is put Sharpies on figures and basically just do that, and it didn't really work out that good for a lot of stuff. But, of course, Sculpey was one of those things that, hey, this is basically Play-Doh. But it dries and it stays there forever. It's amazing because you can make really cool things. Even though this head is not good and Howard the Duck looks like a chicken, when you've been doing it for a while, of course you make these. And of course, I'm going to make a video probably, I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I'm probably going to make a video at the end of the year talking about all my sculpted figures. Because so far, this is probably the 1 year that I've made actually the most sculpted figures. But yeah, Beta Ray Bill and Howard the Duck, I looked at him every time and I was like, no, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. But I was working on so many other things, so I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna look at it, okay? And then he kept staring at me. I was like, crap, I gotta redo it. So I redid it this year because I knew that, hey, these guys would be hard, but I decided to remake them because why not? Anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Peace out, and bye.